Hi everyone. So today I'm going to show you a little bit of watercolor in relation to my tessellated watercolor landscape project that I do with Art One. So these are beginning art students and therefore they're high school, but therefore I'm not using the most expensive materials and I still get a good product. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I do this tessellated watercolor design. So the first thing that you'll need to do is have your students or yourself get a landscape that you like. This one I actually took in Greece. It's got a little cat on the top of this building. I don't even know what kind of building it was, but I just thought it was nice and there was the blue sky behind there, and so I liked the colors. And so I'm going to do mine of this, and I've already stretched my watercolor paper onto my board and taped it down. And if you don't know how to do that, there are lots of videos on YouTube showing you how to do that because you have to wet it. And then I drew a light, very light pencil outline. It's probably difficult for you to see, but a light pencil outline of my drawing. And then from there, I have done a grid pattern over it. And you can do the grid pattern. I just traced the width of the ruler and did diamonds, so all the way this way, and then turning and going all the way that way. And that is giving me this nice little diamond pattern going right over the top of my landscape. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to then start painting in my textures. And what I like about this project, it kind of looks like a quilt when it's finished. And so you could even call it a quilted landscape project. But what I do is for every color that you need to make, and I realize that these are not similar greens, the goal is really not color matching with this project. The goal is design using color to make different tints and shades and variations of a hue. So I am working with green down here and trying not to put the same type green next to one another. And so I'm going to show you how I do that. And then when I transition to blue for the sky up there, I will be doing a different tint or shade of blue in every one of the squares related to the sky. Same thing for the building and for the door. So whatever color, if for example, I'm using browns, every little square will have a different tint or shade or variation of a brown. And the way that I do that is pretty easy. So literally you're praying, or I'm using praying, it could be Crayola or whatever you want to. They're in order of the spectrum already. And so let's say I'm doing brown for the building or the door. I would literally mix brown with black, brown with purple, then brown with blue, then brown with green, brown with yellow, brown with orange, brown with red, and so on. And I would just make a different brown, putting primarily a lot of brown and just a little of the other color in there. And then I would start laying those in, making sure not to put the same one next to one that's just like it. So even if I am going to use brown with red in a couple spots, I just make sure I skip them around. And so that's basically it. So I'm going to show you a little bit of an example. Now, the edge of the building is kind of right there. So I'm going to show you with these two squares how I do this. But basically, I can already kind of tell I've already been working with greens. You can see that I got a lot of variety of green over here. And so I'm going to go back into just putting some green. I like to put like a little fat drop of water in each one of the colors to kind of activate them. But I'm just going to go back into my regular green. Now with watercolor, you want it to stay pretty transparent. That's the goal with watercolor. If you don't want it to stay transparent, you should be using something else like acrylic or tempera. But I want this to be very translucent, letting the light show through, and so I'm using a good bit of water. But now what I'm going to do is just go into one of the colors next door. So I'm going to go in and get a little bit of blue and mix that in and make a darker green, almost a teal, and I'm going to paint that down. And what I like to do, I didn't do a really good job right there, but I like to go up next to the line and leave a little bit of white space on either side of the line. Now, at this point, I can either leave it like that, or this is a technique I like where I kind of crush a paper towel and do a light little tap on it right there. And then later when it's dry, because if I do it when it's wet, if I try to put grass texture on here right now, a wet on wet kind of thing will happen, and it will kind of bleed and run, and I won't be able to control where it goes. So I'm going to leave it right there. So I just did green with blue. So now I'm going to do green with, I'll do green with brown, just another kind of green. So you can look for different places in your palette where you've not mixed something. I'm going to put a little brown in that. I actually get a lot more green in there because I still want it to be green. Kind of made an army green, it looks like. And I like to skip a little bit of space. I'm using a flat brush because I like a flat brush because I feel like I can control it when I'm cutting in on this grid. But if you would prefer to use a round, some people do. I usually use a round for my textures, then you can. And again, a light tap right there because we're trying to keep it light and very translucent. Now, as I would transition going up onto the building, and the building is kind of some neutral colors, I'm going to go into a brown mixed with a little bit of black. And again, a good bit of water with that. And I would stop where I was from going green and come up with the different color for the building. Now I know that's going on looking very, very dark and kind of opaque, but it's just because it's got black in it right now. Once I tap, you'll see that it takes it lighter. And so now I would be going into my buildings. And so next, I already have some brown that had a good bit of like violet mixed in. So I'm going to maybe do that one right here. And it's kind of dark as well. So I'm going to kind of skip and not put it right beside that dark one. I think I will save that for a lighter version of brown. But kind of get that in there. And again, crush the paper towel on there. Let's go with a brown mixed with some yellow. I may just go ahead with this green that I've got in here right now. And I'm not super careful about not mixing my watercolors together on the palette because I can just clean that off with some water. Um, I'm not fussy like that. I know some people are, and I'm sure both ways are okay. With my students, I do try to be a little careful, reminding them that others might be using them after they are using them, or just, to make sure that they are respecting the materials and taking care of the materials. I've already done that. Let's do a little bit of blue. Um, and so, yeah, you're going to want to make sure that they understand and respect materials. But when you're doing it on your own or doing a demo and you're going kind of careful and fast, you might not have time to do that. Okay, so I'm kind of getting those colors in there. Now, after it has time to dry, I'm going to take another brush. And I usually have a wet paper towel by me just so I can blot, not wet or dry. But now what I'm going to do is I am going to go into some colors to make texture in some areas. And so I might want to blot first, but like right in here, for example, if I know this is going to be grass, I might, now that it's dry, lay a little bit of grass in there. Sometimes I don't mind a little bit of water on there, kind of dropping in or bleeding around because it makes it lighter and just, I like the variation. I like getting different line qualities and just making it look very subtle, lots of subtle changes. I could also go up if I wanted to with some brown, since this is a somewhat cobblestone looking, I'm going to go with black here, somewhat cobblestone looking building, and kind of pull the cobblestones through here in a way that is very loose because they're crumbling. I would wait and do that when I was finished with the whole thing, but I want to show you right now. So kind of doing that right there. And so I'll kind of come down and let you see what I was doing there. So again, we're not color matching at this point. As you can see, this image is quite dark. The grass was quite dark. And so that's not what this is about. I just smeared that. But it is about making sure that you are making some varieties of tints and shades. It's actually kind of good that I made a mistake here so I can show you how I could fix this. So this one, it looks like the end of that would have been about right there and here. And then I really honestly need it to be different starting about right there. So I'm going to pull a different brown for right in here, maybe kind of a gray. And pull up and stop right there. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I like the variety in it myself. And at this point, I'm just kind of mixing things in my tray because once you get enough like happening in your tray, you can basically just go there and not have to be thinking about making or matching or mixing a whole lot of colors. Okay, so that is basically it. And so I hope that you have fun picking out your landscape and working with watercolor to create different tints and shades. And I cannot wait to see what you come up with. Have a great day.